Welcome back to another episode of KotlinBytes. In this episode, we're going to talk about if and when statements. If and when statements are the first type of flow control that we're going to be talking about. In our first example, we're going to determine the absolute value of a variable. I'm going to create a variable. We're going to call it abs of a, and we'll set this equal to really anything. It doesn't make a difference right now. And we want to determine if this is the absolute value, and ultimately we're going to print it out at the end. So abs of a, okay. Really quickly, I'm going to run it. Okay, so there's our output. This is true because our input is already the absolute value. So for those that don't know, the absolute value of a number is the positive value of the number. So if this were negative, ideally we want this value to be positive. So actually, for more clarification, let's do this. Okay, and this is false. So there actually is a built-in function for computing the absolute value, but that's going to defeat the purpose of this tutorial. So I'm going to create an if statement. An if statement allows us to write Boolean algebra, which is then evaluated to either be true or false. If it's true, the code is executed within the if brackets. Otherwise, the code is either ignored or given to the else branch, which I'll show you in a second. If abs of a is less than 0, so if this is true, in other words, if abs of a is less than 0 or negative, then we're going to change the value of abs of a. We're going to actually multiply it by -1, which will just invert it. So now if we run this, we'll see abs of a is 123, which is correct. So what's happening here? Actually, I want to show you a quick. So what's happening here is abs of a starts off as -123, passes to the if. So what's happening here is that abs of a starts off as -123. On line 6, it hits this conditional. Since abs of a is less than 0, the code within this bracket is executed. Here on line 7, the value of abs of a is transformed to be positive. And then finally, we print out the positive value. If this starts off as positive, we'll change the number. It remains positive because on line 6, abs of a is not less than 0, therefore it skips executing this code and it continues immediately to the print statement. This can be visualized by adding another print statement in here. Flipping. Okay, so it's going to flip the value if it falls into condition, or run it first as positive. We only get one print statement. Okay, if we add a negative in front and run it, we see that first the value is going to be flipping and then it's going to be printed out. All right. Okay, next thing to know, if is an expression. This is different from Java. So what this means is that code that is executed within its brackets, the value of that's going to be returned to the front. Let me show you. We're going to create a variable called a, and we'll set this equal to 30 for now. And we want this variable to be the absolute value of a. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to convert this to eval. Okay. If is going to return some value. That's what I mean by it being an expression. We're going to determine if a is less than 0. If a is less than 0, then we want to return a times -1. Now we're going to provide an else statement because the error here is saying that we need to use an else branch because we need to provide a value no matter what. So if it is not less than 0, that means it's positive and already the absolute value, in which case we just provide a. Okay, now if we were to run this, we get abs of a equals 30. If we add the negative in front of it and run it again, abs of a is also 30. We can simplify this. Because there's not much code in here, we can actually get rid of the brackets and inline this code. And if we do this, nothing changes, everything's the same. So the way this reads off, the absolute value of a is equal to, if a is less than 0, the opposite of a. Otherwise, if it's positive, just the absolute value of a is equal to a. So there you go. That's an if statement. Now on to the when. For Java users out there, a when statement is very similar to a switch, but a little bit more robust. So I'm going to create a new variable called age, and we'll just say 10 for now. And then we're going to write when, and in the parentheses age, and then we're going to provide different options. When is similar to if in that it's also an expression. I'm going to have it equal to something. I want it to print out some stage of life. And then I'm going to print this out. Okay, if age equals 0, then I'm going to return something. We're going to return newborn. Oops. Again, when it's going to have this error here until we have an else branch. So if we had an else branch, the error goes away. What this is doing is age is fed into this when, and the when expression will either execute line 10 or line 11 based off what age is equal to. If age is equal to 0, newborn, else unknown. So if we run this, stage of life at age 10, unknown. Okay, there's ways to add ranges to this. So you could say in 0.20. This is false, but I wanna run it for you. So if I run this, it's going to say stage of life is at age 10 is equal to newborn. And that is because this variable age is within the range 0 through 20. Okay, I want to add more branches. You can add as many branches as you'd like. Don't mind my categories. Yeah, anyway, if we run this, stage of life at age 10, children, or child, I guess, but yeah, we'll do child, teenager, adult. Okay. If you were 15, stage of life at age 15, teenager, etc. And of course, if you're like 35, then you're an adult. And if you're out of the range, 101, unknown. But this is inclusive, which means if you are 100, you're an adult. Okay, this is an example of a when statement / expression. I use both terms. That's it for today. Hopefully you guys learned something. If there's anything more that I can clarify, or if you have an idea for another video, please provide it in the comments below. And yeah, thanks you guys for watching. Have a great day.